Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive.
Yeah,
We always try to go beyond just looking at, the scorecards and really get into what makes these matches tick.
absolutely.
Hmm.
There's always so much more to uncover. You know, the tactics, the individual performances, the little moments that shift the momentum.
Right. And today we've got a really exciting one to unpack: the Lucknow Super Giants versus the Delhi Capitals, a clash of two, powerhouses.
Yeah, this one had it all big, hitting some incredible bowling and, that T20 nail-biter finish that keeps you on the edge of your seat.
Exactly. And we've got a detailed report on this match that's going to help us break it all down. And I think
Yeah.
there are going to be some really interesting takeaways, for both teams as they move forward in the tournament.
Definitely. Analyzing a match like this, it's not just about who won or lost. It's about understanding, what worked, what didn't work, and what it might mean for future games.
Okay, so let's get right into it. The Lucknow Super Giants won the toss and chose to bat first. Pretty standard T20 approach, right?
Yeah, I mean, in T20 cricket, setting a target is often seen as, having the advantage. You put the pressure on the chasing team right from the start.
And they got off to an absolute flyer thanks to Mitchell Marsh, who's back in the lineup after that injury, and he just exploded.
It was remarkable. That first ball he faced from Mitchell Stark, 144.7 kilometers per hour, an absolute thunderbolt, and Marsh just dispatched it for 6.
I mean, talk about announcing your return in style.
It was a statement of intent right there. Often players coming back from injury take a little time to find their rhythm, but Marsh was clearly not messing around.
It set the tone for the whole innings. He went on to score 72 runs off just 36 balls. 6 of those runs were sixes, absolutely phenomenal striking.
That kind of aggression early on, it forces the bowling team to rethink their strategy, completely puts pressure on the captain to make changes, and disrupts the whole flow.
And you could see that the Capitals were on the back foot right away. But despite that incredible start from Marsh, the Super Giants only managed to post 208 runs.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing, right? They had this explosive start, but then seemed to lose a bit of momentum in the middle overs.
It almost felt like they could have scored even more. Maybe 220, 230 with the start they had.
It happens sometimes. The middle order comes in trying to maintain that same run rate, which can lead to risky shots, or sometimes the bowlers adjust their lengths and start to find a bit more control.
Right. It's about finding that balance between aggression and consolidation, something the Super Giants maybe didn't quite get right in this match.
Exactly. It's a key learning for them, I think, as they go forward in the tournament, how to maintain that momentum throughout the innings.
Okay, so now let's turn to the Delhi Capitals chase. 209 runs to win. That's a tough ask, but certainly not impossible in modern T20.
No, not at all. But it requires a really strong batting performance, especially under pressure.
And they didn't get off to the best start. Jake Fraser-McGurk out for just 1 run in the first over. That's a big blow, right?
Oh, huge.
Yeah.
Losing an opener early like that, especially a key player like Fraser-McGurk, it puts immense pressure on the rest of the batting order.
And the report mentions that he's been struggling a bit lately with some low scores, so that would have added to the pressure.
Yeah, it can become a bit of a mental thing, when you're not scoring runs. So for him to get out early like that, it's not ideal.
But here's the thing. Despite that early setback, the Capitals didn't crumble. They showed real resilience throughout their innings.
And that's the hallmark of a good team, isn't it? The ability to absorb pressure and still find a way to come back.
Absolutely. And there was this one partnership that was absolutely crucial. It really turned the tide for them.
You're talking about the partnership between batsman's name and another batsman's name, right?
Yes, batsman's name played a magnificent innings, score off just balls and a batters. Another batsman's name provided some real firepower at the other end with his quick fire score.
It was a perfect combination of, controlled aggression and calculated risk-taking. Batsman's name was the anchor, rotating the strike and picking up singles, while another batsman's name was the aggressor, taking on the bowlers and finding the boundaries.
And they did it so intelligently. They didn't just try to hit every ball for 6. They were picking their moments, rotating the strike, putting pressure on the fielders.
It was a masterclass in T20 batting, really. Building partnerships, rotating the strike, and then accelerating at the right moments.
And it wasn't just about those two. The whole batting lineup contributed. They had some really important knocks from the middle order as well.
Yeah, that's what impressed me the most. I think it was a real team effort. Everyone chipped in at different stages, and that's what allowed them to chase down such a big total.
And they did it in style, winning with an over-despair batsman's name, hitting the winning boundary. It was a thrilling finish.
Winning in the penultimate over, that shows that they paced their innings perfectly. They didn't panic. They kept the required run rate in check and then finished it off with a flourish.
So if we're looking at the key takeaways for both teams, what stands out for you for the Lucknow Super Giants?
Well, obviously, Mitchell Marsh's return to form is a huge positive for them. He's a game changer when he's firing on all cylinders.
Agreed, but they need to find a way to be more consistent in the middle overs, convert those explosive starts into even bigger totals.
Exactly. Their middle order needs to step up and provide more support to the openers if they want to be real contenders in this tournament.
And what about the Delhi Capitals? What are the main things they can take away from this win?
I think their resilience is the biggest takeaway.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they didn't panic after that early wicket and were able to build such a strong chase, that's a sign of a really good team.
And their batting depth is impressive. They've got so many match winners in that lineup.
Absolutely. They're not reliant on just one or two players to score runs. Everyone seems capable of contributing, which makes them a very dangerous team to play against.
Mm-hmm. This report also mentions David Warner briefly. He doesn't have an IPL contract this year, but he's captaining the Karachi Kings in the Pakistan Super League.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it, how these T20 leagues are all interconnected now, players moving between them, captains coaching in different countries.
It shows how global the T20 game has become and how much competition there is for the top players.
Definitely, and it makes it even more exciting. You never know who's going to end up where or who's going to have a breakout season.
Okay, so zooming out a little bit, what does this match tell us about the IPL this year? What kind of season are we in for?
I think we're in for a season of incredible unpredictability. Any team can beat any other team on any given day.
We've already seen some really close matches, some upsets, and some individual brilliance. It's been fantastic to watch.
Exactly. The margins are so small in T20 cricket. One partnership, one moment of magic can change the whole game, and that's what makes it so compelling.
And that's why we love it, right? The drama, the excitement, the unpredictability, it's all there in the IPL.
Absolutely. And this match between the Super Giants and the Capitals was a perfect example of that.
Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive. I think we've uncovered some really interesting things about both teams and about the IPL as a whole.
Yeah, it's amazing how much you can learn from just one match when you really start to dissect it.
And I think this match raises some big questions for both teams. For the Super Giants, how can they improve their middle order consistency? And for the Capitals, can they maintain this level of resilience throughout the tournament?
Those are the key things to watch out for. I think as the season progresses, it's going to be fascinating to see how both teams evolve and adapt.
And for you listening out there, what do you think? What are your predictions for the rest of the season? Let us know in the comments below.
Yeah, we'd love to hear your thoughts and insights because this is what it's all about, right? The conversations, the debates, the shared passion for this incredible game.
Absolutely. Well, on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive for today. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time for another exciting breakdown.
Until then, keep watching, keep analyzing, and keep loving the game.
See you soon.